Good morning. It is the first day of the Easter holidays in this house. You know the Clemency Atwell, 'twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Well, it's like 'twas the first day of the holidays when all through the house. I mean, the teenage slugs are in their bed. Ugh. Peace is restored. I've got a tooth infection. Apologies for the squished up face. I tell you what, they're a thing, aren't they? But do not digress from what's happening on the socials, which is very important. You will notice, and I think we're all going to start noticing now, a slew of, from all the political parties, social media posts about how great they are, vote us May the 1st. And they've all got their own style, taglines, and what have you. Labour's appears to be putting more money in working people's pockets. And that raises so many questions for me. The working person, what is the working person, and who is the working person, who are they talking to? And because when you look in the comment sections of all of these posts, you see a lot of working people, and I'm seeing lots of people working in care industries who were responding with real accuracies. Oh, somebody said the other week, can you leave your glasses alone? The reason I don't is they're not very focal, so with them on I can't see you, but with them off I can't see this, so that's why. So lots of people are saying exactly what struggles they are facing since Labour has been into power. And I think it would be really good for the Labour Party to read this and actually say, okay, so these are the working people, and it turns out we're not putting more money in their pockets. So one person commented that their water bill, council tax, energy bill, insurance, food has gone up exponentially. They've had their hours cut. They work in the NHS. There's no bank nursing available. And their partner has lost their job because the small business that they worked for had to pay the rise in national insurance employment contributions. And so to do that, they had to lay off a percentage of the staff. So these working people, they were two working people, and now they're one working person. One of them is in the NHS and is not working. They were bank working as a nurse. So they are not working as much as they were. And their partner is no longer working because they have been made unemployed. Now, these are people who are towards the end of their career. So the kids have left home, and they were sort of looking to be working for another couple of years before they retired. But of course, this is now not possible. Their retirement will have to be pushed back because their income has gone down so much. And interestingly, they are supporting their children who may have to come home back to live with them because they can't afford to buy or rent their own home. So multi-generational houses now are having to respond to Labour's working people. We're helping them, but of course the working people are going, well, I'm working and you're not helping me. Where is this £1,400 you talk about? And so this is one end of the scale, sort of the pre-pensioners, we'll call them. And, you know, they were the people where the kids had flown the nest, but now we find that the kids are coming back into the nest. And then the other end of the spectrum is the young families, and the families that have got children in nurseries, in preschools, in junior schools, and then of course we've got the VAT on schools. And if we look at what's happening to those working people, so we've seen lots of from Bridget Phillipson saying, you know, we're going to give free nursery, we're going to give free breakfast to everybody so that you can go to work, which raised many questions again, because what's that saying about the family unit? You know, why are we pushing people further and further away from their children for nurseries and the state to look after their children while they're forced to go and work as many hours as humanly possible to meet these demands on their pocket? So the school-based nurseries is the latest thing. You know, there's going to be 300 school-based nurseries, which we're seeing is, as you know, squeezing the private nursery sector out. And again, we've heard a lot from people in the private nursery sector saying, you know, it's all well and good the government saying that we'll give you 30 hours of free funding. We'll give that to the parents, but we're not giving that to the nurseries. We're not actually paying the full capacity of what it costs to fund this child's place. So you've given them 30 free hours and you've given us £5 per child when actually it's £18 per child. So we're in deficit, and our water bills, council tax, well, business rates, energy bills, insurance, food, And employment contributions have also gone up. So we've also had to let people go. So there are now more people on the employment market. And 10,000 nurseries last year went bust. So the government's opening their 30, that's the dog, by the government opening, hang on a second, by them opening these 300 school nurseries, they are putting more and more children in the state system, and they're squeezing private nurseries out of existence. So again, in the working person bracket, where are these working people? And then we go actually further up the educational route to VAT on education, and we're seeing what's happening there. Now, if you look at the employment bubble surrounding education, we are closing 100 schools. Now, these are not my figures. I love it when I talk about VAT on education and somebody says you've made that up, because they think that this is just purely my vendetta. These are from the figures that were in the court case where the government was trying to defend VAT on education. So do not have a go at me. These are not my figures. These are the official figures. That we are closing 100 more schools than was projected. We are displacing 54,000 students, but we said it was going to be 35 over 3 years, which means that this revenue is net zero. The government knew that if over 10% of children moved, which is what this is, then it means that there is net zero. They're not going to make any money. So they're not making money, they're displacing children, and schools are going bust, and therefore teachers are looking for new jobs. And no, they're not going into the state sector. That's the first thing that people say, put them in the state sector. Well, the state sector can't even afford the teachers it's got. The state sector's been asked to fund a pay rise of 2.8%. We've heard that the unions want 3.8%, but the 2.8% is having to come from existing budgets, which it can't cover. So we're already seeing classroom assistants, TAs going from the state sector, and they're not being filled by the private sector. The private sector, for a start, many of them would have to retrain to fit in the state sector, but they are not. They're saying we're not going to go and work in a sector, into a service industry where we're not valued or respected or paid. So you've got teachers who are looking for employment. Then you've got all the ground staff. Well, what about those? We've got gardeners, maintenance, I can't think of the other. Oh, caretakers. I used to love our caretaker at school. Nicest individual ever. But these are all people that are being let go because, of course, the schools can't afford them. They've got to make cuts because they've got to account for the 20% in VAT and the employment rate. So everybody's making cuts everywhere. And where those cuts are seen most is on the front line with jobs. So when Labour say things like, today's we're boosting growth to put money in working people's pockets, and they're putting a massive cash injection into cars. Who's going to buy the cars? Have you got money to buy a new car? I've barely got enough money to fix the old car I've got, let alone buy a new car. So we're promoting a car industry in a country where no one's got any money to buy a car. Now, you don't need to be an economist or a politician to know that just doesn't work, does it? If people don't have any money, they can't spend their money. So where is the growth? The growth is literally at the minute in my back garden on the lawn. That's the only thing that is growing, the grass seed, which thank goodness it is, because I wasn't sure it was going to, and I'd got it cheap from Homebase because they're closing down where we are, closing down. But it's this circle that always ends in the middle of there is no money and you're not listening. So when you're on the socials with the big Labour drive to vote Labour on May the 1st, it's really worth having a look. Now, don't get me wrong. What's the alternative? Well, depends where you live. It depends who your candidates are. I think we're quite fortunate. But I think all three parties are now at a point where they need to be held accountable by us, because it's not happening in the Commons. They're not being held accountable. Keir Starmer is getting away with all of these statements and the opposition are not pushing him on it, and nor is Sir Lindsay Hoyle. So now I think it is time for the public, the voting public, to hold them accountable. And whichever way you vote on May the 1st, make sure that you hold whoever you voted in accountable. Because if not, we're just going to be in the recurring circle again. And we're never going to get off it. So that's my Monday musing. I am going to have to go and get the teenager out of bed now. And the dogs, as you heard, do need a walk. So I'll leave you with that and we'll dissect it as the week goes on. The sun's out at least. And the tooth, need a paracetamol.